By 2001, Muhsin had long moved on to become editor of the Star, and Chris Whitfield was editor of the Cape Times, and Sean Johnson was the general manager. So the position of deputy editor became available on the Cape Times, and the rules were that you had to advertise it in those days. So they advertised it, and I applied. And there were several white males ahead of me: news editor, deputy news editor, assistant editor. It was all white males, yeah. They were all free to apply, of course. So I applied and I went for the interview. I made the shortlist, went for the interview. It was in two parts. One was written. It was a leader editorial. You had to write on the outcome of the then King Commission into the fall of the rand, and the other one was verbal. And the interview took place 4 days after my mother died, and it was quite an emotional business because my mother had actually taught me to read before I went to school. And my mother and my father had brought the Cape Times into the house on the first day they got married, and they were married for over 50 years. And there was a Cape Times in our home every day over that 50 years. So her passing obviously had a great effect on me. And but I thought I'd go ahead with the interview because I was also doing it for her. And afterwards, Chris Whitfield, the editor, came to me and said that I had won. I was the best candidate. So I had beaten those other white males on staff. And I was wondering how they were going to be able to appoint me over the white males and they were all groups of friends and so on. So Chris Whitfield said, "You won, but we can't appoint you yet." And these were his exact words: "You betrayed a lack of business acumen," unquote, in the interview. And I found this very strange because I grew up in shops. My grandfather and my aunts and my mom and them had shops in Claremont Main. There were 2 shops. We were bigger than Raymond Ackerman's father, who also started off in Claremont Main Road. And had we not been thrown out because of the Group Areas Act and with our shops, and we had a string of houses also in Claremont, above where Cavendish Square now stands, then of course our family would have been owning a Pick and Pay. So I knew a bit about business. I'm from a business family. I had run the union, which is also in a way a business. I had run the underground, the Ashley Creel detachment, and pipelines from here to Joburg to Gaborone to Lusaka. But I thought 2 things, but now why would I need business acumen? Because this is for the deputy editor's position. It's not for the general manager's position. But Chris said to me, "But don't worry, we'll arrange business courses for you as we go along." And those business courses were never arranged. I'd even suggested one, but it was rejected. And after a while, Chris brought Alida Danois in as deputy editor without advertising the job again. And of course they couldn't advertise it because I had got it. He said so himself. So that was another betrayal. And I had to suffer this humiliation for 12 years until 2013, when Dr. Iqbal Survey bought Independent. And he and Gasanta Bada, who became editor of the Cape Times, invited me to become deputy editor. And 2 years later, he made me editor of the Cape Times, which is the position I hold today. 12 years after I should have had it. So that in a nutshell is our story, filled with betrayal, but lots of highlights and triumphs, and I'm quite ecstatic to be working in the company today because we have a completely new ownership, leadership and ethos. And the Cape Times and Independence approach is to build bridges within and between communities and peoples and countries, to bridge the generation gap, the gender gap, the class gap, all those things. So finally, thanks to Second Jalo and Dr. Survey, we are free to write what we like.